gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the GSA's plans for a potential successor to the EIS contract. Telecommunications in the federal space, quite the topic, right?
Absolutely. The EIS, or Enterprise Infrastructure Solutions, has been the backbone for federal telecom modernization. But now, the GSA is already thinking ahead. What stood out to you about their planning process?
For me, it's the proactive approach. Even though agencies are still transitioning to EIS, GSA is already gathering feedback for what comes next. It shows how fast technology evolves.
That's a good point. Agencies just got used to EIS, and now there's talk of its successor. It's almost like upgrading your phone. Just when you get comfortable, there's a new model.
Exactly. And with telecom, the stakes are higher. Federal agencies need secure, reliable, and modern networks. So, what do you think are the main drivers for planning a new contract already?
One driver is definitely the rapid pace of technological change. Think about how cloud computing, 5G, and cybersecurity threats have grown since EIS was introduced. The government can't risk falling behind.
Right. And they mentioned wanting more flexibility in the next contract. Agencies don't want to be locked into outdated technologies for a decade. That sounds reasonable to me.
Me too. Plus, vendors are evolving quickly. The old model of long-term, rigid contracts doesn't fit as well when tech changes every year. I wonder, though, how GSA balances innovation with the need for stability.
That's tricky. Agencies crave innovation, but they can't afford disruptions. So any successor contract has to blend cutting-edge tech with reliability. Maybe modular contract structures can help?
Modular contracts could be the answer. They allow agencies to add or change services as technology evolves. But do you think that makes procurement more complicated?
Possibly. More options mean more decisions, and possibly more red tape. But the payoff is worth it if agencies can adapt quickly. There's always that tension between flexibility and bureaucracy.
And let's not forget security. With every new technology, there are new vulnerabilities. The next contract will have to bake in strong cybersecurity measures from day one.
Definitely. Cybersecurity can't be an afterthought. With federal data at stake, it's like locking the door before building the house. How do you think agencies will prioritize security in the next round?
I think they'll demand stricter standards and real-time monitoring, maybe even more partnerships with cybersecurity firms. The threat landscape is just too dynamic.
That makes sense. I also found it interesting that GSA is seeking feedback from agencies and industry early on. It's almost like crowdsourcing the contract requirements.
That's smart. Who better to tell you what's needed than the people on the ground? It's like asking drivers what they want in a new car model, except it's telecom infrastructure.
True. And involving industry means they can spot potential obstacles before contracts are finalized. That could prevent some of the transition headaches we've seen with EIS.
Speaking of transitions, remember how challenging it was for agencies to move to EIS? Some are still struggling. Do you think the next contract will address those pain points?
I hope so. Lessons learned from EIS should shape the next deal. Maybe more transition support, better training, or even incentives for early adoption.
Incentives could definitely help. Nobody likes to move, whether it's changing houses or switching networks. If agencies get a carrot instead of just the stick, transitions might go smoother.
And maybe clearer deadlines. One issue with EIS was that agencies kept extending old contracts. The next contract could set firmer milestones.
Absolutely. But there's also the challenge of legacy systems. Some agencies run on tech older than some of their employees. Upgrading isn't always simple.
That's a good point. Sometimes it's like trying to install a spaceship engine in a Model T. The contract needs to account for agencies at different stages of modernization.
Maybe that's where professional services come in? The contract could include more support for modernization, not just the tech itself.
Agreed. Modernization isn't just about installing new gear. It's about changing processes, training staff, and managing change. The next contract should cover all that.
Speaking of change, I wonder how the next contract will handle emerging technologies like artificial intelligence or IoT. They weren't big factors during EIS planning.
That's true. AI and IoT are now front and center. The new contract has to be future-proof, or at least as close as possible. Maybe include clauses for adding emerging tech down the line.
That would be smart. Technology doesn't sit still, so contracts shouldn't either. Maybe even a built-in review period every few years?
I like that idea. Regular reviews could let agencies adjust requirements as needs evolve. It's like taking your car for a tune-up instead of waiting for it to break down.
And from the vendor side, it could drive innovation. If providers know there's room to introduce new services, they'll keep pushing boundaries.
Exactly. Competition can be a good thing, as long as it doesn't become overwhelming for procurement officers. Choice is great. Confusion, not so much.
There's always that balance. Too few options stifle innovation. Too many can paralyze decision-making. I guess that's where strong leadership from GSA comes in.
Leadership and clear communication. Agencies need to know what's available, what works, and how to get help. Maybe the next contract includes a centralized support hub.
That could help a lot. Centralized resources would mean agencies aren't reinventing the wheel. It's like having a recipe book instead of guessing every time you cook.
And speaking of recipes, maybe the next contract lets agencies mix and match services, almost like building their own telecom menu.
I love that analogy. Agencies could pick the dishes that suit their missions. Need secure cloud, 5G, and AI? Order up.
But with all those choices, how do they avoid analysis paralysis?
That's where GSA guidance comes in. Maybe they offer pre-vetted bundles based on common needs. Agencies can customize, but also have a starting point.
Makes sense. Not everyone wants to be a chef. Some prefer the set menu. And with technology, sometimes simpler is better.
And simplicity helps with security too. Fewer moving parts can mean fewer vulnerabilities. But the challenge is, can the contract be both simple and flexible?
That's the million-dollar question. Maybe the answer is layered offerings. Basic packages for most, advanced options for agencies with unique needs.
And ongoing training so agencies can keep up with new features. After all, tech is only as good as the people using it.
Absolutely. Investing in people is as important as investing in infrastructure. Training could be built into the contract, not just an afterthought.
That would help avoid the set it and forget it trap. Agencies need to stay engaged with their tech, not just install and ignore.
I also wonder about small businesses. The GSA mentioned making it easier for them to participate. That could be a game changer.
Yeah, opening the door for small vendors could drive innovation and competition, but it also means more complexity in managing contracts.
True, but maybe technology can help here too. Automated contract management tools could make it easier to handle more vendors.
Automation is definitely a trend. It could streamline procurement and monitoring, but do you think there's a risk of losing the human touch?
Always a risk. Automation should support, not replace, human judgment, especially when it comes to critical decisions about national infrastructure.
Well said. So, as GSA plans the next big contract, they'll have to juggle innovation, security, flexibility, and simplicity, quite the balancing act.
For sure. They have to design something that works for today but won't be obsolete tomorrow. That's not easy, but it's essential.
Maybe the real secret is staying adaptable, expecting change, not fearing it. The next contract could be less about predicting the future and more about preparing for anything.
I like that perspective. The only certainty in technology is uncertainty. Building in adaptability might be the best strategy.
Before we wrap up, what's one thing you'd like to see in the next contract?
I'd love to see more collaboration between agencies, industry, and even end users. The best solutions come from teamwork.
Great point. And I'd add a focus on user experience. At the end of the day, technology should empower people, not frustrate them.
Well said. As the GSA moves forward, here's hoping they keep listening, adapting, and building something truly future-ready.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, what would you want in a government telecom contract? Food for thought until next time.
Before we go, this deep dive was created by the MarketUS.com team.
I almost forgot. You can reach them at MarketUS.com or call 954-636-3232.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more discussions on the future of government tech.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy, your AI avatar. If you like this podcast, you can get one for yourself based on a website, YouTube video, or any source. Contact me to get a customized quote for your content. See you soon.